This is the House of Hockey podcast on the Hockey Podcast Network. Hockey is more than a game, it's a lifestyle. It's you, the diehard supportive fans, your favorite players who are on the team you cheer for and the organization who supports them.
The companies that make your gear, bags, and beer league sweaters. The hockey moms and hockey dads and everything else that makes this House of Hockey your home. Come on in. I'm Breezy.
And I'm Ray Ray.
And this is our house.
Welcome back to the House of Hockey podcast on the Hockey Podcast Network. This is episode 12. I'm Ray Ray.
And I'm Breezy.
And big hockey news. Hockey is happening, hopefully? Question mark. We're going to discuss all the things, and who knows, the hockey world might change by the time you hear this from once we recorded the podcast. But before we dive into all of our thoughts and opinions on hockey's hopeful return, we have to tell you about this week's guest. Breezy?
Yeah, so his team should hopefully make it into the playoffs if it happens. His name is Alfonso. You probably know him if you're in the NHL talk group on Facebook. He's pretty prominent there. So we brought him on. He's a huge hockey fan, diehard Rangers fan, and you're going to hear about it. I mean, the guy knows MSG in and out. It's almost nuts how crazy in depth he goes by seat locations. But yeah, he brings a little bit of New York to us and tells us about his volunteer work, and it's just really cool to kind of hear, especially knowing the chaos that supposedly is happening over in New York. So it's good to hear from him.
He's a writer and talks all about hockey lifestyle as well, and I think you'll really appreciate that. I loved hearing the New York accent.
Yeah, I only heard it on a couple words, but it was good. Yeah. I liked it. Well, I want to go to New York. I've never been, so.
Wait, you've never been to New York at all?
No, not at all. It's actually, I've been wanting to go to New York for years. I've been trying to plan it. I talked to you about it. I was trying to go in February this past year. We were going to try to make it work, but it didn't end up happening. But yeah, I want to go to New York. I feel like it'd be so much fun.
Oh, I love New York. I
just don't like a lot of people, so I feel like I'm kind of screwed.
Well, you better go now while quarantine's happening. You might not have the full experience, but
I know.
Yeah, I think you just kind of embrace the people and the chaos. You have to. I remember. I mean, I used to go to New York City a lot. My aunt used to live there. And I mean, I grew up in the city of Chicago, and I used to take the train and everything by myself. And I would go visit her in New York and go walk around and take the subway and just go explore. And as like a young, like high schooler, middle schooler. Yeah. And I hadn't been to New York then for a while and after that. And I got to Manhattan, I was staying in a hotel, and I walked out the front door to go get a Starbucks. And there were so many people walking so fast that I felt like Frogger. I was in Frogger, and I was like, I don't know how do I merge with these people? No one's stopping or slowing down. And I was like going just like back and forth trying to figure it out. I had forgotten. And then I was like, oh yeah, that's right. You just go and they meld with you. You just have to walk. They'll slow up and keep going. And like took a hot minute.
That's really weird. See, yeah, I feel like I gotta go to training for that because I mean I'm not like a slow walk. I used to be a slow walker. They used to call me the turtle. I was just enjoying the walk. Hello. But I walk a little faster now, but I still I always stop and let people go in front of me, or I'm just so polite when it comes to those things. So I feel like I gotta figure it out.
No, you can't do that in New York. It's like if you hesitate, someone's going to run right over you, behind you, if you stop, it's like, you got to go with the flow.
Thank you.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you. That's it.
No, I'm walking here.
Go practice here.
Yeah.
Home Alone was my favorite movie growing up.
Home Alone 2.
Home Alone, the first one, was my favorite movie growing up. And then Home Alone 2, Lost in New York, came out. And I think I've been obsessed with New York, or going to New York, ever since seeing that. So
leave it to Macaulay Culkin to inspire you to go to New York.
Yeah, I used to know that movie word for word.
I'm going to guess you still do.
Yeah, probably, yeah, I probably do.
Well, let's talk about New York and the fact that the Rangers are in the 2020 playoffs, 2019-2020 NHL playoffs, along with my Chicago Blackhawks and the Canadiens. Can we talk about this? So in case you didn't hear the news, which I'm sure everybody's heard this news, but
not just there's a lot of teams in there that you don't really normally see. I mean, the Canucks are there, Coyotes are there. So there's a lot of exciting. I'm excited to watch Panthers, yeah.
I mean,
there's a lot going on.
There's a lot happening. So hockey is happening, hopefully. Gary, just to recap, in case anybody hasn't heard this, or at least to give you a point of reference to what we're going to talk about, because we are recording this before this episode comes out, and in case news changes, we're talking about hockey happening as of the announcement from the NHL Commissioner Gary Bettman saying that the official regular season was completed on May 26th. They are hopeful to have hockey playoffs start based on a 4-phase plan of training and getting the players and the teams back together in their cities. Once they get through phase 4 of that plan, which they hope to be in the middle of July, then maybe playoffs will start end of July, early August, if all goes according. And then there's going to be 2 hub cities.
There's not a whole lot happening. I was trying to listen to this and watch children swim, so I didn't really want to
let the kids drown.
Yeah. So
I'm very happy with this plan. I think it's pretty fair and balanced as far as deciding who got gets to play in these round robin playoff bracket types, with the teams we had just mentioned, that somehow the Blackhawks are here, even though they're last place in the Central. Not complaining, very happy about this, but it's still not really clear that this is actually going to happen anyway. This is a plan. Right. And the commissioner in the NHL wouldn't set dates for obvious reasons because of the uncertainty in the world. And if players get sick and XYZ happens, then no hockey. But what I thought was interesting, though, they didn't talk about fans, if they were going to let fans in or not.
Yeah, I read that too. I mean, I don't think there's no talk of it, but I think it's safe to assume probably no fans, which I think is fine. I'm fine with it. It's not like I'm going to be going to a playoff game. I mean, the Kings aren't even in it, but.
You wouldn't go to a playoff game? Just I would go to a playoff game.
Well, if they're in LA, which Staples Center is an option if they decided to use one of them. I don't think it's a good option, but it is an option. I would go see any team play at this time. I feel like I'm a fan of every team right now because I'm just give it to me. But no fans. But I think that no fans as of now. But I think it kind of sucks for the players because I feel like the fans bring that energy, and I think that the team kind of needs it to perform well. And
I know there's been talk of piping in fan sound, crowd reaction internally into the arena.
It's so weird.
I know. I mean,
it's so weird.
The whole thing is weird, and the whole thing is crazy to begin with. I mean, what do you think of the brackets? Do you think this is fair? Do you think this is even?
I mean, I think given the circumstance, I think anybody would be happy with how it is right now, unless your team's not in it. But even me, it's like, I mean, I would like to see every team in it. I just feel like it'd be kind of fun and just, I mean, you got to figure it's not normal. So might as well just make it really not normal and allow everyone to compete, even if it's just like 1 or 2 games. But as of is right now, like, I think it's fair. I mean, go for it. I think as long as the top guys who should be in the playoffs have their equal opportunity to, like, and not be, you know, thrown out by like the Hawks or something, because I feel like that would, no offense, but like, you know what I mean? I feel like it shouldn't be kind of like that just by chance because the season ended and there was no way certain teams were going to get up into that playoff spot. So yeah, that's just my 2 cents.
All right. What do you think that will actually happen? Will we see an actual game played? I'm still a little skeptical that it will happen. I mean, they're really confident they are. And I can tell you from an inside source of mine that the NFL is like moving full force ahead, that they're going to be playing football in September, period. Whether or not there are fans there, they're doing it.
Yeah.
So hockey, I mean, they're wearing masks, they're wearing gloves, they're fairly safe on the ice as far as like passing the virus from person to person.
Kind of wearing masks. Doesn't cover their mouth or their nose, but
yeah, you could put the full shield on the players.
Could. I mean, I think that there's a lot of different things that could potentially happen and equipment that may need to be worn, or maybe there's only so many guys in one room and so many guys in another room. I mean, I don't know, but yeah, I don't know if it's going to happen or not. I mean, just like baseball, it's like the guys are out on the field in wide open air. They should be allowed to play, but they can't. And I heard my sister-in-law's a really big baseball fan. And she's like, yeah, players are protesting, and they're just like, yeah, we don't want to play unless we get our full salaries and this and that. So I think that there's still so much that's up in the air, but it seems like a positive for hockey, and I hope it turns out.
Yeah.
And if they were smart, they would put sports on TV, because if they want everyone to stay home, especially in California, if they want people to stay home, like, that's one way to get them to stay home. Put sports on TV. They're not going to go anywhere. They're going to sit at home, and boom, you get your wish. It doesn't take a rocket science to figure that out.
Breezy, they should just hire you at the government. I think I loved hearing that this was happening, and I think it's really great. And if the players are willing and everybody feels comfortable, then great. And we should play. They should play. And the only thing I have an issue with is the minute after this was announced, people always have to like make it about them and complain. And people were like, this is BS if governments and counties are going to bend the rules for professional athletes to be more than 10 people together just to play sports. Like, I mean,
that's their job. Like, you want to go back to work yourself, right? Like,
right.
That's their job.
If you're complaining that hockey players get to go back to work, well, then then you should get to go back to work too. I'm all for that. Yeah. But I don't think you should punish and make this out to be a bad thing. This should be a positive thing then, to say, well, then everybody should be allowed to go back to work. And those who want to stay home should be allowed to stay home and work from home if they don't feel safe or they have autoimmune issues or whatever. But to go, oh, look, sports gets a free pass because they make money, then fuck you, because you should be thankful that they're paving the way to opening up more businesses to trying to figure out how to get back and how to do it safely and healthy. And it's entertainment. So just say thank you, because we have no sports and no one wants to watch soccer.
Right. I mean, some people do, but
no,
not me.
Soccer is so boring. I'm not watching soccer on TV.
That's
no.
Funny. But I mean, you got to figure summertime's coming. People are going to be outside by the pool, backyards, hanging
only
out.
If they have their own pool.
Right.
My pool's closed at my apartment complex.
So what else are people going to do when they don't have that kind of a luxury? Not everyone can go to the beach. You got to figure people in the middle of the United States who watch hockey, they can't go to the beach. They probably can barely even go to their local lake or river. So, I mean, it's entertainment. I mean, you got to figure the movie studios are even shut down right now. Like, there's no movies coming out. Well, there's archives or whatever, but
but the movie theaters are closed.
Movie theaters are closed, and they put new releases on Amazon and you can buy them. But I mean, the whole world wants everyone to get outside and stay away from electronics and this and that. And it's like, so I mean, I guess sports still feeds into that, but. Yeah. All right, my point was broken on that one. So never mind.
I don't think it should be poo-pooed on. That really, really bothers me. And if the players have agreed and it wasn't forced and they aren't being forced to do this, then, I support that. Obviously, we are only getting a little bit of the information. We're getting what we get from the commissioner, we get from Gare, but that's all we get. And something that I also found interesting about the press conference was the names of the players that Gary said were instrumental in making this happen were all the young guys. It was Connor McDavid and the last name I never say right, Tavares. Did I say it right this time?
I mean, it's either Tavares or Tavares. I don't know.
Anyway, Johnny T, he was part of it. And there was like two others that he publicly named and like credited for like being instrumental and bringing this together. And I thought that was really interesting, that group. It's sort of, is McDavid like really a leader?
The quiet guys. The quiet guys are stepping up.
I mean, that seems a little strange to me.
Yeah. Huh. Interesting.
Like, is everybody love McDavid? Everybody respects McDavid in the league, and they're going to listen to him?
Oh, I think so. Hands down.
You think Brent Burns is like, oh yeah, whatever McDavid says, I'm all for it?
No, I'm not, but I think he's like, well, yeah, like I think he's a good spokesperson for the league, and if he's on it, he's obviously probably, seen all aspects of it, and he's well respected all over the league. I mean, you got to figure all the guys are all-star games, or when they play against them, everyone, their focus is on him. So I would think that players respect him enough to say like, oh, okay, so if he's on board, I mean, the guy, you got to figure the guy's quiet. You know that he's mentally thinking of all different aspects of what could possibly happen. So I think that he's probably taken everything into consideration and thinks it's a good thing.
Yeah. I don't know. I was just a little surprised.
Call out Brent Burns on that one.
Well, I'm just throwing out a name that you wouldn't expect.
I would say like a Ryan Reeves would probably be like, no, I'm not following that kid around.
Well, right.
Yeah. I got you.
I don't know that I mean, I don't know. I don't know Connor McDavid or Brent Burns, but I found that to be very surprising that those were the names listed. I praise the NHL and the players for being the first to agree and make all this happen publicly. I mean, obviously the NFL hasn't officially started yet during this virus, so I guess they're technically the first team, but to see all the players, however they agreed to it, to agree to play, and baseball being like, we want our full salary. I mean, Jesus, this is a global pandemic. I don't know how you can say that right now. Either you get paid something or you could get paid nothing, and you might not have a job next year. So what's your problem? How many failing franchises are there in both the NHL and the MLB that this coronavirus could bankrupt the entire franchise? And the players are saying they're not going to play unless they get their full salary? I can't even imagine.
Yeah, I mean, I don't get it. But again, my argument is you guys make millions and millions of dollars each season. And if you're only going to get half of that, I mean, you're still making a lot of money. But, I've talked about this openly with a lot of people, and they're like, yeah, but you got to figure, what if you were told to go back to work and you only got half your salary? And I was like, yeah, that sucks. But that's completely different scale. I mean, I'm not making millions over here. Yeah. If someone wants to hire me to make millions, I'd happily do that. But it's different. It's so different.
Temporary as well. Yeah. Right. And to the point I was saying, if that franchise that you have a contract with is going to go belly up, if you don't play at all, wouldn't you rather support them knowing that if by you playing and taking less pay right now is going to benefit for the future and the longevity of your career? You kind of have to suck it up.
Yeah.
In this state, right? Like in the making millions and hundreds of thousands of dollars. Yeah. And times are tough. This is what's happening. Right. I mean, I don't know. I just can't imagine. I can't imagine saying I'm not going to play unless I get paid my full salary as my base argument with everything that's going on in the state of this global pandemic. You're going to put your foot down on not wanting to play because of not getting a full salary. That I can't understand. Yeah. Health concerns, safety for your family, safety for everybody else. Yes. Okay. Yeah. I can understand that, but
salaries.
Jesus.
Yeah, it's debatable.
I mean, that's why the NHL is the best league of all the sports.
It's true. Yeah, it's
true. The players are like, yeah, let's play. I mean, from what we're being told, I'm going to go out on a limb and say there's a bunch of players who didn't want to play.
Yeah.
Just like in any situation. Because again, we don't know if this is actually going to happen.
Right.
This might not even happen. They might not play.
Well, let's hope it does happen so we can get some entertainment and have fun, I guess. I don't know. I don't know. I need a change of pace in my life.
I need something. I know. I need some hockey. I was in such a state of shock watching that press conference because it was like, wait, is this actually happening? Maybe, kind of, sort of, All right, let's talk about, let's do one prediction. As of today, if this playoff bracket of sorts actually happens, who are you putting in the Stanley Cup Playoffs finals, like in the finals? Who are you picking?
Gosh, that I'm looking at the bracket right now. So sorry if my
I know.
eyeballs
I am
are
too.
over here. It's tough, man.
Yeah.
I mean, I think Boston's always really good.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna have to probably say Boston.
Uh-huh.
And I don't know. A lot of talks are that the Knights are gonna do well.
They had a lot of injuries that maybe they've had some time to
Yeah.
recover, so they could do well.
I don't know. It's tough. I don't think I can say, honestly.
I know. We're just making like a real blind prediction here because we have no clue what these guys have been doing in quarantine.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, that's true. I'm gonna go ahead and say the Flames versus the Bruins.
Whoa. Okay. Wow. I think
you told me a blind call. I'm just going blind.
I know. I think there's a possibility we could have a rematch of last year. I think it could be Bruins Blues.
Yeah.
I don't think the Avs have it in them. I definitely don't think the Avs can beat the Blues. Can the Blackhawks beat the Oilers? Maybe, yeah, if we don't drop the ball like we always do. But then who do they play? Yeah, I don't think the Blackhawks would get out of the second round, I guess, would be.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't see anybody else making a run for those top 4 teams. Yeah. I just don't. Yeah.
It's tough. I mean, and you don't really know. I mean, they still said that if this were to happen, this could potentially be the matchup. So I don't know. Until we get something official and I replay the last like half season of games and stats, I can't really. I don't know.
I know.
Hockey's so unpredictable. I mean, you have one bad game and the whole team gets frustrated and then you blow the series. So
True.
It happens.
We've put our predictions on record just for shits and giggles.
I'm going to epically regret my decision probably one day.
No way. Well, here's to hoping summer is canceled and hockey is back. This is the part of the podcast where we let you, yes, you, hockey fans, take the mic and tell your story of interacting with an NHL player, past or present.
This is Phil Oliver. Just sharing my story. I'm a diehard Islander fan since birth. And I had a few moments meeting some Islander players throughout my time on this planet, but one that resonated the most was I was about 14 maybe. I was in high school, and I met Brock Nelson, who's currently one of the top Islander forwards right now. I think it was either his rookie year or his sophomore year in the league. And I was lucky enough to get into some sort of Islander golf fundraiser thing. And they didn't tell us that any of the players were going to be there, but there were a couple players there, and Brock Nelson was one of them. And he actually joined me and my dad for a couple holes. He played a few holes with us, and it was pretty cool. He's an awesome guy, and hockey players are naturally good at golf. In my opinion, I think he was really good. He hit the snot out of the ball, and he was just a great guy. He talked about his experience playing for USA Hockey, and playing at Yankee Stadium in the for the outdoor game against the Rangers. And yeah, he was a really good guy. And that's pretty much it. I've had a couple other experiences, but they're really just saying hi or whatnot, so they're not as important. So thank you for listening in, and let's go Islanders.
Thanks for sharing your story on the House of Hockey podcast. We'd love to hear your story if you have one of interacting with an NHL player, past or present. Just call our phone number 323-438-2648. Tell us your name, tell us the NHL player's name and the team they play for, and then tell your story in 5 minutes or less. And you just might hear it on an upcoming episode of the podcast.
We'd like to welcome a true diehard New York Rangers fan, Alfonso Caldero. Welcome to our house.
Hey, thank you. Thank you. I'm honored to be here. Thank you.
Of course. Thanks for joining us. So I think let's just jump into it. How did you get into hockey?
I got into hockey when I was around 10 years old. Like 9 or 10. The combination of NHL 94, the video game, the Mighty Ducks movie coming out. Not exactly sure which one came before the other one, but those two, and then the Rangers winning the Stanley Cup in the 93-94 season. That did it for me. Ever since then, I've been totally hooked to hockey ever since.
Quite the trifecta there.
Yeah.
That's funny. So obviously the Rangers won the Cup, which would ultimately make you a fan. So is that the reason why you became a Rangers fan over an Islanders fan?
Yeah, but my biggest sports influence was my uncle. He's a New York Jets, New York Yankees, and New York Knicks fan. He's actually an Islanders fan, but growing up in the Bronx, you're kind of like hockey's not a very popular sport, and it's actually like ridiculed in some parts of growing up. I was a lot of people like just didn't like hockey, and I was like made fun of for liking it and things like that. Like, oh, Canada sucks, and all this other kind of craziness. Like I picked up through the Mighty Ducks movie and the video game. Like I started to love hockey, and then just coincidentally enough, the Rangers were doing well. Like, and I picked up everything, so the Rangers were pretty much all I saw at that point. And then they ended up having a long playoff run and winning the Stanley Cup. So I was really young, and like really naive to the sports. So I didn't really like appreciate it as much as everybody else who were older fans and were like super happy. I could die happy now. I didn't really have like that kind of euphoria moment. But hopefully it happens soon, and I'll be able to enjoy it like they did back then.
How would you describe New York Rangers fans? Like, what's that culture like? What is it like? Is it just, there's a lot of Wall Street guys who roll up to the games, in suits, and they throw their jerseys on over to go to games during the week. I mean, describe sort of that culture of New York Rangers hockey fans.
I think a lot of it depends on where you sit. If you're in the 100s, you have a different experience than if you're in the 200s or the blue seats in the 400s. It's a different feel, but one thing about Ranger fans is that they're a very tight-knit bunch. After the first minute of play, if the Rangers don't score very soon, the place gets really quiet. So that's something that a lot of the hardcore fans are very vocal about. And when we're there, we try to do the best we can. Like I'm one of those chant starters, so I'm always down for "Let's go Rangers" in any given time. Usually when the puck is like not in the defensive zone, because then you're saying it and then a goal gets scored and then it's not as fun. There is the corporate aspect of it. It's people just like companies having season tickets, just giving anybody seats. I've actually twice sitting in the hundreds trying to start Rangers chants, almost got kicked out. One time I was drunk, the other time I was completely sober. So it was definitely, I think, more than just alcohol issue. But
that's crazy.
It's just they cater more to the older crowds, I think, because it's expensive to go, and a lot of the older fans are the ones that have the season tickets and all that. You can hear it by the music. The music is more kind of 70s, 80s ish, and then if you go to like Jersey or New York or the Islanders, they have, you know, a little more current music.
I imagine, I mean, MSG is obviously iconic. It's number one on my bucket list of hockey arenas to go to. So I would imagine it would be almost kind of electric in there. So it's interesting to hear that it's kind of mellow up until things score. I mean, what do you think would be a good way for MSG to kind of be a little bit more electric moving forward? If you could give anybody like some tips on going to a game, I mean, would you prefer more chants? Would you prefer, or is it like a respect level, like be quiet unless you score?
Nah, I'm super loud at games. I don't think it should be any kind of church level ever.
Yeah.
But I think the best thing to do is just to go with like a group of people and have everybody like if you're a yeller, just and everybody just yells at one time. It's easier to get the chants going when everybody's like, the more people that are involved. And for people that are visiting, I think it just like be very careful where you sit, because when they built the Chase Bridge, and like the upper part of the 200s, like after row 12 and up, and the places in the 400s, there's a couple of like obstructed view kind of places. So the best places to sit would be the best places to be would be in the 100s or the 200s, row 12 and under. Those are those are like to get the full experience, because even in the 200s, like if you sit like in rows 16, 17, 18, it goes up to 24. If you sit anywhere over there, then the iconic MSG ceiling starts getting cut off, and then you start seeing the jumbotron on the TVs on the side, which is not as fun of an experience as getting the full experience and getting like the ceiling action and everything else in it.
Dang, you know that place in and out.
Yeah. I've definitely sat everywhere in that place.
Yeah, you've been there once or twice.
Yeah, I mean, that's such a different perspective. You go there all the time, and Breezy and I have that on our bucket list of like must attend hockey games. I think that's what makes this sport so fun to be a fan of.
I'm a contributor for Fanside, and the division I work under is Puck Crews. I don't talk about Rangers as much. Like naturally, I have to, because that is where my fandom comes from. But I try to talk everything other than Rangers, so that it's more well-rounded. It's been really fun, especially in quarantine time when, you know, not that much is going on, kind of like creating the atmosphere, the sports atmosphere within myself, and, you know, trying to bring it to other people. The one thing that I try to focus on a lot is like fan perspectives and people pieces, because I feel like, you know, that there's thousands and thousands of bloggers and people that, you know, cut up the analytics on hockey and everything else like that. My angle the most is trying to recognize like extraordinary fans and how they tie into hockey, doing other things like philanthropy work and things like that.
Why don't you share one story that's really stood out to you about fans and philanthropy? And I know you do a lot of volunteer work as well, but do you have a story you can share with us that you've shared in the blog?
Yeah, my first story was it was about 3 different people who were making masks for to combat the COVID-19 pandemic, and I had luckily I knew all these people. There was a group of Ranger fans that were turning in T-shirts into like hybrid masks, and they were you know, using them for donations and then selling some of them, but then like using the money to make more donations, and they've donated to hospitals and the homeless shelter that I volunteer in, and different places around upstate New York, and a couple places on Long Island so far. They had a bunch of Ranger fans come in and like donate T-shirts, and like they put their own T-shirts together. You know, obviously like they wash and sanitize everything, and then, you know, do what they do with them. But I actually have one right here that can. This is the one that they gave me. Wow. So it's like a full T-shirt. Yeah. So yeah, it's really cool. Actually, I was thinking about opening the show with it, but it's actually nice to be able to talk to people without a mask nowadays. Then,
yes, relish in those moments.
Yeah, the second one was a lady in St. Louis named Michelle Colbert. She's retired from politics. She's a season ticket holder. She converted her normal business, which was like, like selling like fresh fruit out of the garden and different things like that, and like making different like jams and sauces, and converting it into making masks. And at the point of the story, she did like 1,000 masks at that point. And she was retired, so was pumping out masks, like 15, 17 hours a day.
That's
and
a
just
lot.
like giving them to people. Yeah, she showed me a post where one of the sheriff deputies made like a special honor post for her and different things like that. So it was really cool to see that, and to see her tremendous efforts paid off that way. The first show I seen with you lovely ladies was with Tracy when you had her on, and
we love Tracy.
Yeah, well, I do too. I definitely. I mean, I didn't know anything about the show, and I just like spent the whole hour watching her talk, even though I already knew who she was. And it was really cool to like see the experience.
Well, speaking of Tracy, she sent me this photo. I don't know if you can see it.
Yeah.
Look at that.
So
she wanted me
to.
It's one of your favorites. So explain that. I mean, you guys are obviously jersey swapped right there. And for those of you who hadn't heard, Tracy's a diehard fan. And in this photo, I could post the photo, but if you watch her YouTube that comes out on Sunday, you'll see it. So they actually swap jerseys together. And there's a story that goes along with that. So can you share?
It was a really fun day, but when we got down to meeting up, and then it was a progressive all day thing. Like luckily, one of my friends named Jill, she took me down to the practice, and so I was basically like with a large group of people all day. So at the end, I was just like like Tracy had the jersey in her hand. I'm not exactly sure why she had the jersey extra, but I asked her. I was like, what size is it? She was like, oh, it's 2X. And I was like, yeah. I was like, give it over. I'll put it on. So then she was like, what? I was like, yeah, sure. I was like, whatever. It's just, it's fun at this point. It's just, everybody's having a good time. Like see the crazy Ranger fan wear a Kings jersey. You know what I mean? Like those kind of things.
Yeah.
So I put it on, and then while I had mine off, she was like, oh, give me yours. And I was like, all right. So then I gave her mine, and then we took that fantastic picture. So it was pretty cool.
Wait, did you keep the jersey too? And did you let Tracy keep?
No. I mean, it was Jonathan Quick 2014 Stanley Cup patch. There's absolutely no way. There's no way I'd be able to keep it. I mean, it was just cool enough to wear it. I didn't really have like too many qualms about it. Even it was weird.
Understandable.
Yeah,
fully understandable.
Totally. Yeah.
The Stanley Cup patch, like there's some like logistics involved here in hockey jerseys where like you're not just giving away any jersey off your back. Like that's there's laws here in our hockey subculture that we must follow. And that's one of them.
I mean, even when it comes down to like I love everybody. I love all fans from everywhere, just because I'm just big on people, and like there's fans like me that are huge Ranger fans that are they just love different teams because they could just come from different places, but everybody is still great people. But when it comes to the Kings, like themselves, like I do not like the Kings. Like everything when they lose, like I'm happy with that. Like I'm satisfied. Good. Like that kind of thing.
Well, speaking of other teams, so I met you kind of, sort of, I guess, in a way, through NHL Talk on Facebook.
Yeah.
So explain. So did you start, because you're an admin for it, did you start the page? Are you just a part of it? Like, what's going on with that?
I didn't start the page. It was an old friend of mine who got me into being an admin there. And the goal was always to have, like, every fan base have a strong voice in there, so that, like, you start learning, you start experiencing different things, and bring people together over, like, for the passion of hockey and not just the love of the favorite teams. It's been amazing to learn different views and different perspectives from everybody. The passion of hockey and being a good person is not team specific. It's not a geographic thing. It's just people in general.
I think that's probably one of the only groups I've really been a part of on Facebook that there's not very much negativity there either. It's either well managed or people just are respective of other people's opinions and like to kind of chime in here or there. And if they don't, from what I've seen at least. So,
yeah. Well, what we worked towards was, making it a place to bring people together. You learn, like, if you're a Blackhawks fan, and then at any point in your life, if you just met like two Blues fans and they were just like assholes to you, like at that point you're just like, oh, like all Blues fans are awful. You know what I mean? Just off of those two actual people. So, like when you meet different fans from different fan bases, especially the rival fans, and you just see that they're like really cool people, and it's just like, oh wow, like it just blows people away that it's not like just team specific. It's just, like good people are all over the place. And like one thing that I always try to do in everything that I do is bring people together, and being able to have people break the hatred or just keep the hatred toward the actual team and not on other people has been probably the best part about the group itself.
Yeah. What would you say, when I started really diving into this hockey world and filming and traveling and interviewing fans, it all really started with the simple thing of, I don't know anything about any other fan culture, base, anything, right? Because you stick to your team, and there's no reason for me to learn about Rangers fans, really. You know what I mean? Yeah. But it was a curiosity that I had. And it's gotten me to all kinds of really unique places, and I've met some incredible people as well. And I know Breezy travels a lot as well and has met all kinds of fans and different people in this hockey world too. So what would you say, Alfonso, is like your dream goal of taking this, all the things you're talking about with the, with the Facebook group, with, writing in the blog and all the work you do around New York, like what would be your goal to do for the hockey community?
Ultimately, I'd love to land a job somewhere in the NHL world, any kind of something. I just try to just, bring people together and just have people have the understanding of like how important it is, like, and how much of a blessing it is for people to actually be together and enjoy this game, whether you're on one side of the fence or the other. I lived in Boston for 4 years, and that's where I gained a lot of my perspective on like learning about different fans, because, like you always grow up like, being from New York, you're like, oh, Boston sucks and all this other stuff. And, obviously I hate every sports team over there. So me going over there as a Jets, Yankees, and Rangers fan was very interesting a lot of times. But at the same time, it wasn't as hard as people made it out to be, just because I was able to, I was like, people saw me for who I was, and I saw them for who they were. And it was just like, it was a mind-blowing experience overall, just to see like, oh, well, Red Sox fans aren't all that bad, like Bruins fans aren't all that bad,
Do you play?
I started playing a couple years ago, luckily enough. I grew up not thinking it was possible to play, thanks to social media, which has given me everything to my fanhood up until this interview right here with you lovely ladies. I saw people playing that were like older and like, out of shape, like not really like your typical, like players, like, and they're just, they're just going out having fun. They're playing beer leagues, things like that. And I'm like, wow, that's amazing. So I ended up, a couple of buddies of mine did a pickup hockey game in February of 2018. And then at that point I turned 34 that January. So I'm like, you know what, if I'm ever going to play, like, it has to be now. I'm like, I'm not going to get any younger. Like, my knees are fine. My back is fine. It's only going to get downhill from here. So I started slowly getting gear and built up to that, and then through that, and then I've been playing ever since. And it's a beautiful thing. That's kind of where I scored this one from, because I was always against people having. I was always against having my own name on my jersey, because I wasn't playing and things like that. But now that I actually play, I can wear it with a bunch of gear and sweat, sweat it up all crazy. So, I'm like, oh, it's a good idea,
Yeah, exactly. And you have, kind of gotten people together to play. I've seen you been able to kind of gather people together to play roller hockey in the Bronx. And didn't you do something like somewhere? I'm not familiar with New York at all. So like, didn't you have like multiple different spots that you were getting people together to play?
People that hadn't played for years, people who only play infrequently because of job responsibilities, kids, wife, whatever the case was. It was something that we all kind of like rallied around, and we would go to different places and play in different venues, whether it be like roller hockey or ice hockey and different things like that. It was just something where we all just enjoyed each other and then enjoyed the game that we loved playing. Even though, a lot of the guys that play in the league are not that great, and it's just, you just do it for the fun and the love of the game. You don't really do it, just to spin circles around everybody else and things like that,
Right.
So
what has hockey done for you in like a positive man? I know you say social media has helped and all this stuff, but Ray and I have tried with every episode that we do, try to get a little bit more light on what hockey's actually done for individuals, and whether that be, making friends or getting out and playing again, or, shooting a documentary about whatever's going on in the world. So what would you say what has hockey done for you in a positive way?
Literally it's pretty much done everything. Like, it's given me like a social life that I wouldn't normally have without it. And it's given me being able to meet different people that share the same love and passion for the sport that you do. When I was growing, a lot of, when I'm growing up in the Bronx, and people were not really liking hockey. And then to a further step, I didn't know a lot of people who love sports like I did, so like a lot of people would talk to me, like sit me down, like give me an intervention, like it was a problem, like it was something that, it was like I was a disease, like a lot of times people had me feeling that way. But then, thanks to social media, I was able to learn, like, not only find people that shared the same love that I do, but actually crazier than me.
That's awesome. That's so great to hear. And I think we would agree with that statement as well. It's created a community of people that hockey people are my people. And that's like the only way I can describe it. And I'm happy to be in this community. And speaking of it, what would be your ultimate hockey bucket list item or thing to do? Do you want like a certain jersey, season tickets, dinner with a player? Do you have any sort of something fun like that?
For me, it would just be going to every arena. Right now,
Totally.
I'm in the 20s. I think I'm like 20 or 21. I'm not exactly sure. Because I went to Minnesota, and I went a couple hours before the game, got to the game, and then the person I went to the game with dropped me off at the airport, and I stayed up all night and caught the first flight out. So like, you start trying to cut down and cut corners, and there's a lot of amazing things that you can do traveling that, it doesn't make it super, super expensive.
Do you have a favorite arena that you've been to?
I'd say my top 3 is Tampa. Tampa is number 1. I think that
lightning bolt?
Yeah. What is it? The
like that
Tessa Coral or something like that.
Yeah. And it's like makes a lightning bolt every time they score.
Yeah, totally. Wow. That totally does it for me. But I just think the overall production, the music, and different things like that. And a lot of what I judge for arenas is like the sight lines. Like how good do you take care of the cheap seats? And I think then number 2 would be Pittsburgh. I think Pittsburgh, they have a really fun layout, and then they also have like the interactive fan section, which obviously I'm not a Penguins fan, but I still went through like the experience and like touched the things and all that. I thought I thought it was really cool to bring that to fans. My 3rd one would be Boston. I think I might be a little biased just because like I used to live in Boston, and I went there like 7 times in my time there, like Rangers and Bruins, and it was just like every time the Rangers came by, it was like Christmas Day, you know. And I think that's, you know, that had a lot to do with it. But I just think, you know, like the music in Boston is really good.
We always ask everybody, like, who's their favorite hockey hunk? Like, who's the hunkiest?
One of what makes the Rangers most popular, and I do not know if there's any kind of equation in this where they, you know, how they pick the teams, how they build the teams. I really don't have any kind of backstory with it, but it seems like they have a lot of attractive hockey players that play there. And I think that really caters to the fan base and how, you know, like how they respond to the teams. And like, if you notice, like, when's the last time you seen a Ranger like without all their teeth? You know, like, can you think of any Ranger? I can't. You know, like, it's just, you know, like then you look at the like at the All-Star game. If you look at like the whole Western Conference defensive line, like nobody has teeth on that line. You know, like Brent Burns, Drew Doughty, everybody's just, you know, they're totally teethless. Yeah, so.
That's a good point. I wonder if that's in the Rangers contracts. Yeah. Like, if you lose
must have teeth,
must be replaced immediately. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. What about hockey lady? Who's your favorite hockey lady?
I'd have to say Amanda Kessel. She actually just started working for the Rangers, and I'm like, wow.
Well, thank you so much. This was awesome to really get an inside look at your perspective and hear such a positive motivation in talking hockey and creating, you know, more community and bringing people together. I think it's wonderful what you're doing. So tell everybody again where they can keep up with you on all the things. Go ahead and plug everything.
It's Fonz, FONZ NY88. That's like my Twitter handle. I write for Puck Cruise, the NHL Talk. It's invite only. But definitely Breezy's in it, so she can invite everybody in there that she knows.
Yeah, hey, how come I wasn't given an invitation?
Yeah. So
just kidding. I'll get you in there.
That's fine.
Everyone go follow them and make sure you check out the blog. And if you want to be added to NHL Talk, too bad. Just kidding.
Thank you so much for having me. It was an honor. Thank you.
Thanks for coming over to our House of Hockey podcast and hanging out with us. We'll be back next week with a brand new episode. And in the meantime, you can follow us on social media. Just look for House of Hockey podcast. We'll be back next week.